Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of DangIT Productions. We are here with episode 432. My name is Justin.
Fuck.
Whoa. And welcome back, everybody. Ooh, Mark, how have you been?
All right. How you doing?
Doing good. Actually, you know what? I got jumped by like how loud you were like coming off from like my headphones, but it's probably because I had the volume up a little bit too high. But it was like, ah! It was like, oh, what'd I do? We got some updates as far as these things have been happening this past week. I kind of wanted to start off with a little bit of heat, okay? It was about the Bayonetta drama that we were talking about last week. Because of the timing of our podcast, it didn't really catch up to like what was happening up until recently. So I just want to give you guys the follow-up on that and our thoughts about that. So last time, if you all recall, shout out to Abraham, by the way, we were talking about how Helena Taylor, the original voice of Bayonetta for 1 and 2, and I believe in Smash Brothers as well, Ultimate, and also for Wii U and 3DS, she's spoken about how Platinum Games and Nintendo weren't going to give her the amount of money she felt like she was owed for, and she had asked people to boycott for her in light of her just breaking her NDA just to unveil all of that. And that was pretty much what we had gotten thus far. Ibrahim saying we went to our street fair, it was ass. I'm sorry to hear that. Sometimes it's a hit or miss. I feel bad, but they're better ones in the future. Just gotta keep a lookout for those. So what I had put down here was the fact that in light of all that, I believe within like a good time frame, it was someone from Bloomberg doing the reports. And granted, you kind of want to take it with a grain of salt here and there, because Bloomberg, as far as just a whole entity, has like talked about like hearsay here and there about Nintendo. I followed them specifically for like Nintendo Switch stuff, and it was like okay, I know. It's hold on, let me finish what I was about to say. If I start barking up a storm real quick. So yeah, Bloomberg has.
Might have lied.
She might have lied because Bloomberg had reported that because like I guess someone from Platinum, you guys should definitely take a look at that too, about the fact that it wasn't like a $4,000 flat like pay as she was claiming, but moreover like that was going to be a pay per session, up to 5 sessions in total for the entire project, which is a lot bigger of an amount. It's a lot bigger. I think that's more than I get like a year. So, but it's also, well, actually, you know, there's the development of the game, and there's also like the voice acting involved in there, all of which are all like very important as far as creating the game. But having said that, though, Helena then responded saying that like that was all a lie. That's just Platinum Games just trying to cover their ass. And to be fair,
that's all she said.
yeah, that's all she really said. And if I recall correctly, there was also another thing she added as to the fact that she wanted to move on from this and just get back to theater. And I want to point out something that Sephi has said to us like in Messenger about how she's got a point in the sense that, you know, companies like Platinum Games, and not just Platinum Games but other companies in general, will try to protect their brand, because of course you would, because otherwise it impacts everyone in that like unit. But at the same time, what was it? You were talking about Charlie, Voice Critical. He had talked about how like, well, wouldn't it be easier at that point if they did the response that she just showed, like, since she's breaking NDA, showed the contract as far as like what was the agreement, and that would just be all said and done.
Literally had nothing to lose.
But yeah, that's as far as we knew about Helena. So my specific thing is, you know,
I just don't know who to believe.
I don't know who to believe either. I do want to throw in like my thoughts about it though, in the sense that well, of course I should probably also add the fact that Jennifer Hale, the current voice for Bayonetta, also had spoken about the fact that she's also under NDA. She can't reveal anything, but she's also, for equal pay for a lot of actors in what they do in their line of work. Platinum Games then following up with that and saying that they also support Jennifer Hale in her statements, and that was pretty much like there. So it's definitely one of those things where Platinum Games is definitely not trying to like touch up on like the payment agreements, because that's probably also under NDA. What I wanted to point out specifically was the fact that I guess Helena, the way she kind of responded about the whole situation is kind of contradicting to her personal feelings, which she posted like those 3 to 4 Twitter videos about like the whole situation. She had claimed that this is her, and Jennifer Hale, she's great, supporting everything. She does not have the right to claim Bayonetta as her like voice. Like that was kind of like her words of it. And I just find it weird that, and I'm not trying to point the finger at her specifically, but it was just kind of weird how at like within a day in her response is that after all this stuff came up about, she just kind of was tired of it and just wanted to move on. So I didn't know what to make of that one. That just felt kind of weird. In which case, I mean, maybe Helena actually might be in the wrong, but also at the same time, Platinum Games isn't trying to like do any. They're not trying to like unveil anything. So, and the fact that,
although the director did speak out,
he said a lot of things. He said a lot of things. So this is one of those prime examples where I can say that you can support the franchise, but you don't need to support any individual person at Platinum Games at all. So, and also the last thing to note is that Nintendo is playing absolutely ignorant to all of that. They're just
Nintendo's like, we're just a publisher. This is their problem.
Yeah, it's true. It just feels bad because now people are just like responding to like those Nintendo posts with the wrong mindset as far as like where does this all kind of need to be deferred to. So I do feel bad for Nintendo for just kind of getting the fire for that one, but it is what it is. They still got to promote a game that they're publishing. But
it also doesn't help. It also doesn't help. Like I said, the big problem is that Helena might be, when she could have just ended that argument right there. Instead, she said, with no evidence, just, okay, so that's a lie, and now I'm just going to move on from it. I'm like, that's a terrible move.
Yeah.
That you might as well have just said, okay, time to press X to doubt.
Yeah, it's weird. It was an interesting point to bring up the idea of the contract, but I don't think moving on was like the right answer per se in that scenario. But
especially with how passionate she was passionate about it in the beginning, but now she's done all of a sudden, not even a day or two later.
Right. So unfortunately, we don't have like the absolute answer to it. All we can do at this point is like it's just based on it's kind of your call, everybody, as to whether or not you want to go forward with this game or not, because it's a bit tough. Ultimately, I don't think it really will impact Bayonetta 3 as just like the third entry, but in light of
the game still be the game.
Yeah, the game's gonna be the game, but as far as like your morality in like where you fall into all this and whether or not that will dictate whether or not you get the game or not, it will be up to you. I think
the game's still sold out.
I mean, yeah. What was it in Japan? Yeah, they're like, we don't need to worry about that. Or at least that's what it feels like. But yeah, all I can do is advise that all of you just take some time to really just like maybe analyze that and make a decision just based on like whether or not you want to kind of follow through with like some kind of boycott in the perspective of just simply supporting voice actors and getting them paid fairly. Or if you're doing this because you just love the franchise and of course you want to get like that copy and you may have went forward with that pre-order bonus, stuff like that. It's all up to you. I am going to put a hold on that because I know I can and I should. Honestly, like we have 2 games that released this past week, and that was Persona 5 for all the other platforms, including PlayStation 5. And then Mario & Rabbids Sparks of Hope. Brand new games, I'm just gonna hold off on those. I don't need to pay full price right now. But yeah, that was the other bit of news, is like those two games just came out. And as far as like what I'm going to do with those, I mean, I have Persona 5 at least on Game Pass PC, so there's that. And I think it's only available through Game Pass through PC. Otherwise, you do have to like buy a physical copy.
It's on console.
Yeah, it's on console, but I don't think it's on Game Pass console.
No, it is.
Are you sure? Because I
was playing it.
Oh, okay. All right. That's it. My it was, yeah. I'm not gonna argue against that. I just want to bring up the fact that when I was checking Xbox's app Game Pass, and I was trying to like download it to either PC or console, only PC was the only one available. So that was kind of weird. I haven't checked my Xbox for it though, but if you say so, then that's how it is.
Wait, you didn't check your Xbox for it?
Yeah, no, I didn't, because I didn't have the Xbox really booted for that, or just went over to the marketplace. I know, like that was if any time that I did that within this week, it was specifically for Monster Hunter. So I didn't check out the whatchamacallit, the marketplace at the time. I only checked like my app because of like how much promotion Persona 5 was getting. So I was checking my phone real quick to just kind of get the download queued for it, and that's when I only found the PC version. But okay, yeah, no, if you have Game Pass and you're just kind of like not trying to put down like an extra like bit of $60, then by all means do Game Pass. Especially since it actually, no, I should probably encourage that even more so, because of the fact that Xbox doesn't get a lot of JRPGs, and even though it's a slightly older game, it's still regarded as like a really good RPG. So definitely recommend that. Especially with Xbox, it should be performing like very well, whether it be Series S or Series X. I did watch a little bit of Digital Foundry's bit about Mario & Rabbids Sparks of Hope. It's interesting because I kind of appreciate the Kingdom Battle a little bit more so because of how they laid out the environments. So Digital Foundry like spoke a lot about like the details and the environment, first and foremost, before the frame rate really like was talked about per se. It does kind of suffer a little bit on the frame rate side of things, but as far as like the aesthetics and the environments, it's a different direction. It seems a little bit like flat, more cartoony in contrast to just like the lush environments in Kingdom Battle. But I guess at the end of the day, I can only say that like the Switch is a pretty old console now, and it's pretty limited as far as like what it can output. So just like
to get up there in age.
Yeah, and I mean, bless the devs for all these individual games like Xenoblade, like Chronicles 3, for example, for just kind of utilizing a lot of tech just to kind of get past all of that. But I guess at the end of the day, the moral of the story is that if you decide to go mobile, go for like a smaller like form factor, you're gonna sacrifice a bit of performance there, and that's just kind of been like. That's been the thing
although we're seeing that's not necessarily doesn't necessarily have to be that way, as we've seen with the Steam Deck.
Well, the Steam Deck, I was gonna say the Steam Deck also, it's beefy, but of course, like I think if you have a well-spec'd like PC, that will still kind of outperform the Steam Deck, from what I understand. In the sense that,
in terms of, say, we're gonna go the handheld route, you don't have to completely get rid of the specs.
I mean, like we'll probably get there. It's just the tech may not be like quite there yet. I think the Steam Deck, unfortunately, I can't really speak so confidently because I don't have one like in my hands or anything like that. But with Steam Deck, it's interesting because you do play a lot of these Steam games there natively, and the name of the game is literally just to kind of tweak all the features as much as you can to get like the most optimal performance that you want, and that's super cool. But it won't be like the smoothest experience. Granted, it's much more powerful than like a Switch, sure, but if you want to really go the portable route for anything, you do sacrifice a little bit if you already have something like a game PC that works. But yeah, other than that, actually, Mark, maybe you should get a Steam Deck. Maybe that'd be really cool.
Be cool, but it's just still very expensive.
This is true. We still gotta work with you as far as like editing and whatnot, but we'll leave that for like other conversations later. But let me see, what else was I gonna bring up? Oh yeah, well, aside from those other bits of game news, there was also the previews that came up about for like Scarlet and Violet, as well as God of War Ragnarok, and I got somewhat fully caught up earlier this morning as far as like both previews. And the takeaway is that, one, I'm super excited for Ragnarok, and for Scarlet and Violet, well, it's for me, I think it's just seeing more gameplay that I really liked. Otherwise, I'm pretty much satisfied with what I've been seeing with Scarlet and Violet, so I'm looking forward to that when that comes out. But I think, if I recall correctly, God of War comes out first, so that's gonna be interesting. Because I do really want to just kind of jump in and play that like first, but then like I think a week later, that's when Scarlet Violet comes out. I might have to double check that, but that's gonna be a really tight window. So I think I'm gonna try to like do longer streams for that one later. Although I think God of War Ragnarok is actually gonna be a lot longer than its previous game, so we'll see. All I can say is we'll see. You know, I'm looking forward to it. There's a bunch of footage like for both of them, but just to cover God of War Ragnarok real quick, they showed a little bit more cutscenes with Atreus and like Kratos. Granted, they don't have speaking lines in these like little clips, but I don't know. It's a different dynamic. You see, the way they described it in the previews was that you know, Kratos doesn't really treat Atreus the same way as like a kid that kind of needs to be like nurtured a little bit. Granted, he was kind of cold shoulders, but he's a lot more like open with Atreus like here. And Atreus, now a teenager, what they described is that like he has his own personality, but he's also like a little bit more independent. Ghost Hand was also talking about the boss fight for Thor was leaked already. It's super hype. I didn't know it was leaked or not. I saw it too. It was super dope. all I can tell you is that there's a sequence in which like you think that this would happen, but it completely turns it over its head, and you're like, you have much more respect for Thor as a boss fight. That's all I can say. Yeah, no, I won't really say much about that, but I'm looking forward to it. I'll definitely stream that. Crazy thing, they talked about how God of War Ragnarok actually has 120 frames like for performance option, and that sounds crazy. So it is a lot of frames. Thankfully my stuff is capable of doing that. I've never really tried to do that on stream before, so that's going to be an interesting thing to try to show, because what this guy, this capture card is capable of doing, it is able to do 120 frames, but at the very most like 1440p, which is still a lot, but you know, as far as the pass through, and then capture will show maybe, well, I guess it would also capture 120
1440p or 1440p. You're already streaming higher than 1080. It's like way beyond HD.
Yeah, but when I put it out for stream, it'll still be like a 1080 because that's what Twitch is allotted for. So, well, actually with that one, I might want to like lower it down because of my limited bitrate as well. So it might be like a 720 60 frames experience for y'all, which is still, it's still gonna look really clean. So I think we'll opt into those options to like do max frame rate and then see how that plays out. But what was I gonna say? No, I'm just really curious about like the characters too, because you all know that I've just like hopped off of God of War, and so I'm I'm just like fresh out the boat, so I'm ready to just see what's in store for all these characters. I love the first game as far as just how they set everything in place, the interactions, these characters having a lot more to them than just being like faces that I see on screen for just a moment. And I think everyone kind of leaves a really lasting impression for me. So to see how things change, especially with like following the mythology, right? It's currently how do you pronounce the winter season? It's like Fimble something. Mark, please. It's,
You want to know what you want to know how you say winter in Norse?
it's just Fimble winter. Okay.
You're say legit. As soon I got the answer as soon as you said that. Yeah, it's Thimblewind, or they would say Thimblevitter.
I thought there was a V somewhere because of like previous spellings I've seen of it. But yeah, Fimble winter.
The way it's said is Thimblevinter.
Mm-hmm. And then following after that is actually Ragnarok. So it's gonna be interesting. If I recall correctly, when I was watching it earlier today, it was actually Santa Monica Studios talking about like the development of this game. It was like posted just like within a few days, if not like really recently, really recently, about how they want to span out the story. And I think from what I've heard, they want to wrap everything up in this title. So I'm like, that's nutty. How in the world are you going to
be a trilogy?
I thought it was going to be a trilogy, but we might have to double check that again. From what I heard, and this is from Santa Monica's like YouTube channel, so you can verify that. Yes, it sounded like they were going to try to wrap it up within this game. So I don't know how that's gonna play out. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I misinterpreted what they were saying, because obviously I was just sidetracked with other things from watching that. But okay, all right. Listen, Mark, I have a very
You don't make these statements and then say, "Well, I was also sidetracked." So
yeah, like, all right. Listen, I have a problem. I have a very low attention span with videos sometimes. Sometimes like I'll be watching the video and then like the next thing I know, I'm on my phone and I'm just listening. I'm like, wait, what were they saying, by the way? But no, I did hear that. I promise you I heard stuff about them trying to wrap this up. But I mean,
they were just talking about the stream.
But no. You know what? Oh, all right. So this might be like a little bit like more of a bias for me, but I think they said they were going to wrap it up. I would love to verify it right now. I wish I had someone.
Let's wrap up this trailer.
I wish we had a third person to just kind of look behind the scenes and just check out that trailer, and then just like double check with me. We don't have a third person.
You need the guy in the chair.
I am my own guy in the chair. Like, look what I'm doing right now. I'm looking it up right now. Oops. Okay. That's not what I was looking for. All right.
Yep, that's what it says. It says Cory Barlog explains why God of War Ragnarok will end the current storyline.
Okay, I'm not crazy. Okay, good.
So because they say because they didn't want to spend 15 years on a trilogy.
That's fair. Meanwhile, on Final Fantasy VII's side, yeah, no, we're gonna absolutely spend 15 years.
Basically, because of the time it would require to make a trilogy of games.
Yeah, which I think would be really cool, but you know, if this
also,
is
you would need 15 years. Holy shit!
I mean, listen, if it's going to create like a really cool, compact like adventure, a finale, if you will, for this kind of saga of Kratos' life, I think that'd be really cool.
The first game took 5 years.
Mm-hmm. And I have to say for myself that like that game's really impressive. So the amount of effort they've been putting into like Ragnarok, even knowing that like a trilogy would have made it even more so, I got some high hopes for this one, especially with Potbelly Thor. We'll see. Ooh. Oh yeah, and there's Pokemon, right? Pokemon's interesting because it was something that was covered by a bunch of like influencers, and we're not just talking about just like the general like IGN and GameStop. We're also talking about some YouTubers who are able to have access to a little bit of a preview demo for Scarlet and Violet. From what I remember, it was something where they had three options to, well, pretty much three like mainline story quest things that they can do, which was like the gym battles, or I guess the, what was it, Victory Road or Elite Four path, which is your traditional like approach. And then there was one where you there was like a Legends path where you would fight like larger than life Pokemon, aka Monster Hunter, and that's how you progressed. And then the third one was I forget the name of it, but you fight Team Star, and that's kind of how you progress that one. And what I got out of it, and this is kind of through Austin John Plays, who's then was looking into all these different like forefronts and then credited them appropriately. So
were you watching this or listening to it?
I only watched, well, no, I get it, Mark, I get it. I was actually watching it and listening. But he was saying that there's 18 badges, so 8 traditional, 10 from like the others like branching paths, not each but just collectively. So
that there's 18 badges,
but there's no specific clarity as to whether or not that applies to, or that fulfills the requirements for like Elite Four stuff. But you would assume so, right? But there's nothing like outright spoken.
Just the fact that there's 18 badges says enough.
I think so. Like, I feel like that's a safe assumption, but the fact that like he clarified that like we don't know if that really would be still good to qualify, because otherwise you can look into the meta and think like, okay, where do you earn like for Legends, and then like the Team Star stuff, especially Team Star, like how do you legitimize those badges? Well, you were just you're being a good student and just kind of like telling off on these like procrastinators and these other wannabe like outlawed trainers slash students of your respective schools. Legends makes sense though, as far as like you're actually doing a job and you're being compensated, I guess, with a gym badge essentially. But I don't know. Another thing that they pointed out in the previews was the fact that you will no longer get caught by a trainer and then they initiate the battle. You initiate the battle with them. And the way they do is that trainers will be all over, like in the wild areas, quote unquote, and they will have this option, like, or an exclamation point above their head that will pretty much tell you that, hey, they're ready to battle. And you know what? I like that. Because we definitely know, like in this day and age, that there's not every single person wants to throw in a battle immediately. You're gonna have people who really are reluctant to fight you, but you know what? At the very least, all you gotta do is just ask them.
Now all you have to do is ask for consent.
Indeed. It's gonna be interesting. It will allow for like different like types of progression. I'm really curious as to how like challenge runs will be implemented. I'm not going to partake in that like quite yet. I'll just try to do it as just in traditional as possible. And since I'm just going to do my own thing.
Curious, say what you mean is you ain't gonna do nothing at the storylines. You're gonna go around the entire world.
I'm gonna craft that ultimate blade. You watch. I wonder if I can get the legendary by then. I'm pretty sure. Maybe not. The demo actually just had the legendaries just available to them, so they were able to just roam around. What we saw,
I don't feel like that would make sense.
Yeah. What's interesting though, when they introduced the demo and showcase some gameplay, was the fact that while riding your Pokemon, they traverse easily moreover than Legends Arceus, where you switch between different ride Pokemon. In this one,
Legendary does everything.
Yeah, your lizard dude does everything for you. It's great.
Your lizard dude.
Your lizard dude does everything. On wheels or on foot, doesn't matter. What's interesting is that despite this showing a lot of similarities with Legends, one specific thing that they had opted out of was the idea of just simply catching Pokemon by like tossing the ball right. Like you can toss a Pokeball at them, but it initiates a battle no matter what. You could do the same thing with Legends Arceus, but if you want to just try to catch it like out of the blue, you could do that. In this game, you can't. So it's definitely more of a marriage between Legends Arceus and like the traditional like play style, with some added tweaks here and there. So it's interesting. I like this new approach, and I like it changing quite a bit. So I think this will possibly lay the formula out for even more like variations going forward. But for now, this is what we're kind of getting. I'm gonna just be honest, and I wasn't expecting this type of preview. I was really expecting a trailer or something, another gym leader reveal or something, which we'll probably will still see. I just wasn't expecting a preview or anything. Yeah, we still got like a couple weeks before the game's released. Well, I guess technically like 2 or 3, and well, we'll see. Well, actually, yeah, it's like 4 weeks. So. Oh, we'll see, but I'm looking forward to it. My thoughts about like which star to shoot hasn't really changed at all, but I am looking forward to seeing like a possible trailer for the final evolutions. I think some people were trying to leak something out about that too. I don't know, like it was Sprigatito got some leak footage, or at least assumably, and you just find on YouTube when you're just looking at Pokemon like Scarlet and Violet, and it was a video that was posted like a few days ago within this week, so could be something wrong. I could also actually I was just trying to look for it right now, but it's kind of buried underneath all the other videos that got posted later on, so I won't worry about that. Oh, also different customization options for your trainer. Aside from like, you know, the beginning of the game where it's assumed that you'll probably pick like 1 out of 2 genders, and each of them has like 8 presetted looks. Once you go to the salon and whatnot, the options are just like open to you. You can pick from like either the, I guess, the male representative to the female representative. You can just choose whatever you want, which I think is really good. What else is there? I'm trying to remember everything. There were a couple things. They talked about the sandwiches a little bit. There's a little bit of variety there. I personally kind of miss the curry like look aesthetic, but that's totally fine. But I think that's everything I remember specifically, other than the fact that like in the star battles, you pick 3 specific Pokemon for that, not out of your 6, and those 3 will just simply do like auto battles. That's like the main formula until you fight like Mela and whatever team she's got rocking. And I think that's pretty much it. Also, the Pokemon you send out on the Let's Go feature will follow you. You don't have to like have them go in a certain direction. They can just simply follow you, so that's nice. Let's Go features also will decrease the amount of XP you earn. So traditional battles will give you like the normal amount. Let's Go features as far as auto battles don't, and they prioritize towards getting craftable items, so you can craft TMs instead. They talked about the open space Pokemon centers in the wild area, so you don't have to enter into a town or anything like that to do your business there. Towns have their own maps versus like the open area, so that's how it's going to play out. And there was a bit of talk about performance in the towns are I don't know if it's significantly, but it's better than just going outside. That okay, yeah, I think that's everything. But you could definitely check it out too. All you gotta really do is just like look on YouTube and you'll find like not just IGN, GameSpot, but you also say like, I think you'll see A Drive talking about a little bit, Philly D, or what was it, Philly Beats, and then well actually I'm actually right here.
I was like Philip DeFranco.
Yeah, not Philip DeFranco. He's not quite in the Pokemon scene yet, but he's covering everything else. Philly Beats, yeah. Ooh. Mark, you think you can take over for just a quick second?
So yeah, you heard everything here. We still don't know what the starters look like, but we've gotten pretty much everything else.
I think everything else. Oh yeah, they did talk about those the raid battles too. Oh, you know what? There was something that Austin John plays did mention, and it was the fact that this might be a competitive thing, maybe not, but when you terrestrialize your Pokemon, they change into a different typing. They don't actually apparently they don't lose, and this is just according to like one of the staff who was talking with whatever like I forget exactly which Pacific content creator asked the question, but a representative just talked about how your your typing stab for your original form gets carried over when you terrestrialize. So I'm trying to remember. Armor Rogue, for example, I believe is the Ghost Fire type, and terrestrializes into a Fire type. Will actually still have Ghost Stab after like that transformation. So that's interesting. And then translate that to Pikachu with the flying typing. It carries its electricity stab to it. So interesting, really interesting. But I guess it remains to be seen. That was like from one person, so we'll see. But all right, that's I think that's pretty much it as far as the gaming news. I'll tell you right now, as far as like my own personal like backlog I'm going through. Carry On's still a game that I'm playing through, but I have not been able to touch it this past week as much. But I feel like I'm getting like oh so close to the end, really close. My dude looks gross, but he's packing a lot of heat. Whenever possible. It's interesting. Carry On's like as I talked about is about you just kind of going through all these different like passages and just taking out dudes. But they are pretty well packed with a lot of ammunition and like firearms to like neutralize you pretty quick. So you have to be careful too. And they play a lot with the mechanic of dumping a lot of biomass to allow you to access other abilities in your smaller forms than you would in your large form. So it's interesting in that way. It's kind of like a side-scrolling Metroid game, but you have access to abilities in different forms as you progress, and you need to go back to those forms in order to use them instead of a whole like combined thing or a compounded type of scenario. It's really interesting. I would actually recommend it. But as far as streaming rotation games, Monster Hunter is just there. We got Iceborne, possibly Sunbreak later on, and they'll just be interchangeable. And Trails in the Sky, which took a while, but we got past the prologue. I think it's mainly because I read out a lot of the lines. That's just my problem. But that game's been intriguing me as far as like the mechanics in that game. Now I have 3 people in my party, and we're dealing a lot of damage. And now I kind of understand experience points are being given to you, and how little it gets like with each level up. And I think that's pretty much everything as far as that. Other than that, like in regards to Trails in the Sky, there's a lot of other things that I haven't really been able to access because my crew is still like relatively new. So we'll see how that plays out. I will also I'm jumping to some like anime news real quick. In regards to Chainsaw Man. And I bring this up because a lot of people are really talking about how Denji, in comparison to other protagonists, specifically of the shonen variety, those guys having much greater goals in mind, and Denji's over here just wanting to touch boobs.
Well, bro, his life's been shit. He just wants to enjoy himself for once.
Listen, I got no problems with Denji wanting that goal. Listen, start small. Because honestly, when all you wanted to do was just live a very comfortable life, and you just got that over the course of 24 hours, yeah, no, I get it.
When you see the man's life, it's like, no wonder he just wants a simple life.
Yeah, no, you could say that like he's like a step below Naruto's life. And I'm not even talking about how he's been like
I would say it's worse.
I would say, yeah, I was gonna say it's worse because at the very least, even though Naruto was ostracized, he still had a place to stay. Granted, he was neglected by Sarutobi, sure, but still. But with Denji, it really sucked. But I gotta give it to him. He still, despite all that, he still has like a personality of himself. And this episode 2 was actually really cool in the sense that it establishes the different characters. You find out that Denji at that point is an absolute simp. We get it. I don't think we should really be saying that, but I'll just say that Denji is obsessed with getting with Makina, or at the very least touching her boobs. Which then translates over to power. And he's like, wait, hold on. You're a fiend? I thought you weren't supposed to be. I thought we shouldn't be working with fiends. And he looks down. And it's whatever. It's cool. I'm like, oh my god, this dude. But he's
hey man,
he's
fun. He's just trying to live his life a little bit.
No, I get it. Honestly, what really, I wouldn't say it struck a chord, but it was like an eye-opening thing about like Denji's character was the fact that like I forget the dude's name, and it's because like he has a pretty long like name that people address him as, but the guy kind of like just has like a really straight ponytail in the back. They take on a case where they had to just take out this dude who got turned into a fiend. He wants Denji to show off his specific like demon powers. He doesn't do it. And gives the excuse over the fact that like he kind of wanted to end the suffering for that guy because otherwise demons can be befriended. And this dude like pushes him against the window. He says like, listen, I would much rather prefer to see demons suffer as slowly and as painfully possible. What do you have for an excuse? Are you going to be trying to befriend everything you possibly can? And he's like, oh yeah. And he's like, all right, I'll remember that. And once he leaves, he's like, okay, thank God. Listen, all I just wanted to get is the porn magazines.
For real.
Porn secured. But then he also like looks out the window. He's like, that dude's probably out for vengeance and stuff like that. I already got my life poached. You know this, but I wonder if there's anything else I would really like. Touch moves. That's what I want. So, good on him to like make steps towards that.
He just wants his simple life.
Want to bring up what Ibrahim was saying here. I was in a fight earlier today. The question was who was the best father out of the 4: Goku, Naruto, Endeavor, and the dad from Hunter x Hunter.
Oh, I saw. Wait, you mean
the best father?
You meant Gin? It's Goku, obviously.
The best father. Well, actually,
out of all of them.
I mean, I think we can cross off Endeavor, and we can also we can also axe off the dad from Hunter x Hunter. I think it might be a little bit harder to tell between Goku and Naruto. I feel
Naruto's son had more issues with his dad than Gohan or Goten did.
This is also true, but well, yeah, you might have a point there because the father versus being a Hokage are two separate things. And of course, Naruto became a father first before becoming a Hokage.
It's like, if those are the examples, then yes, Goku is the best dad out of those 4.
But I feel like Goku's gotten a little bit more, so don't you think? It's not like they care or anything, but like Goku's gone for the most part.
Yeah.
So
here's the thing. A lot of times where he's been gone, a couple of times it's been his choice, but for a lot of the times, no, it hasn't really been his choice.
And like, can we also talk about how like Goku kind of forgot about Gohan as a fighter for a bit? Like Vegeta was like, hey, what about Gohan? He's like the most capable of like all of us, really. And he's like, oh yeah, you're right. I was like, this dude.
Really? I'm trying to remember when and where you're referring to.
One of the tournaments. It was either the tournament of power or like one of the exhibition matches. He was like, okay, why don't you bring in Gohan? If you need another person, he's your guy. He's like, oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, Yeah. But it is tough otherwise, because at the end of the day, both of their sons like their respective fathers. So it's like, well, that sounded wrong, but like all their children like them at the end of it. So it's pretty tough. But I think ultimately, like, Goku's family is still happy despite like Goku just going like off and just doing whatever he wants.
I get it.
Yeah. But I don't know. I think
it's definitely between Goku. It's definitely between Goku and Naruto. I'll say that.
I think Goku has. He doesn't like in as far as like the anime anyway. He doesn't have that like that. He doesn't portray that like nurturing father thing. Moreover, it's just like he's just like
in early Z, in early and mid Z, he does.
Yeah, maybe. Or like, what does he take like Gohan out for fishing and whatnot? Fishing, quote unquote.
Yeah, he's done that.
I guess so.
He's done stuff with his sons.
I guess in that case, probably both of them have. And then when Naruto took the mantle of like Hokage, he obviously couldn't really see them as much, and Boruto just kind of like remembered that a lot. Ibrahim says at least Naruto's home after a long day. Hey, no, actually sometimes he leaves. He actually sleeps at the Hokage office sometimes, which is also terrible. I think both have their ups and downs, but it's kind of close. So I couldn't really.
It's definitely between those. It's definitely between those two.
I think I'd give it to either or.
For Endeavor's problem was Endeavor was more blinded by trauma and by by sheer like mindset of gotta do this that he wasn't paying attention.
I felt like Endeavor was pretty relatable because, I mean, to a certain extent, as far as just like simply trying to focus on one goal in mind and kind of losing track of the people around him in order to like achieve that.
I mean, when he first started being a father, he actually wasn't a bad father.
It's true. Yeah, he wasn't. It was only after like.
It was like after what happened with Toya.
Yeah. But I think we can all agree that the dad for Hunter x Hunter, from what I know anyway, he really just left going. Like, that's it.
Oh no, Gin just dipped.
Yeah, he gone.
I mean, I've actually seen Hunter x Hunter. Have you?
No. So I guess you have more like of the right to say.
Honestly, you need to watch Hunter x Hunter.
I should, but I got so like tuned out after like those first like couple episodes. They were slow, that was the problem, and I just could not follow through with that. Because I saw all this other cool stuff, so my expectations up there is high, and then you see the beginning stuff, you're like, oh god. Do I really? I don't know. And that's kind of where I'm at. Because otherwise it gets really good.
Oh, it's worth it.
I don't know. I think it's one of those where it's like, it might be worth it in the long run, but like I could not recommend like those first 3 episodes and then just craft like your conclusion. Type of deals anyway. Was there anything else? In the anime bit was Chainsaw Man for me personally, but if there's any other things they wanted to highlight, obviously of course there's like a slew of other like new shows for this season, so there's all that. All I could say is that the dub for a Laid Back Camp is done with this first season. I am now saddened again.
This is the how many time you watched Laid Back Camp?
It's my technically it's probably my 3rd time.
I thought you were to say it's been my 6th time.
It's my night. It's the night time. Like, so 7 at minimum. No, this is my 3rd time. I remember watching it first, and then at some point I decided to just revisit it just cause of just that vibe, and I totally was down for it. And then the dub came back. I was like, well, I gotta watch it again. Meanwhile, I still won't watch Hunter x Hunter at that point. There's a lot to watch, and I haven't even like tried to fulfill a backlog list on that. so I'm not going to. Only when I feel like it, I suppose. I guess the last thing I ever want to like, or not ever, but the last thing I want to like bring up is the fact that we got some updates going on. I can only be vague about this because nothing's really set in stone. But we're talking with the group, and we're getting some stuff like organized. We're
supposed to be having that meeting now.
Not well, and we're made for you. Yeah, technically it would be for you now, but although I'm not sure.
I see West Coast time.
Yeah. You mean sad boy hours? Oh.
I see. So it'll be 3 more hours for me.
I'm sorry. Well, I think it was it was just kind of based off of like the availability. We're dealing with different time zones. That's the problem. Because I guess this is a pretty good update to kind of bring in is the fact that Gabe has returned from who knows where.
Temporarily.
So he's been catching up with us this past week, and it's been like super chill. It's like he's never left, but I did kind of give him like all the details as far as things that's been happening this past like year or so. Well, I mean,
most of the things that he's missed have only been in the last week.
Last week, really. Because I think I've heard from him like maybe like in late September or so, or no, well, no, that's probably still within that time frame. So yeah, he was gone for a little bit. But yeah, we've just been catching him up to speed on everything, and it's actually within pretty good timing as far as like what we're planning to do as a group. And I just want to let y'all know about that because it does like impact the channel quite a bit. So all I can say is just stay tuned for that. There's gonna be some changes happening onto the YouTube channel as well, so we'll see how that plays out. But get excited though, because it's something that's exciting for me, and I'm hoping to see a lot more like from the other guys as well. So it should be really cool to see how that. But we all have to get together and actually plan it out. But yeah. Alrighty. That's pretty much it for updates on my end. Mark, was there anything you wanted to bring up?
I would say that if you follow Shonen Jump, get the bagpipes ready, to say the farewell, because we have lost 2 more series.
Savage.
Because we have lost Super Smartphone, and we have lost Aliens Area.
Whoa. So
and they don't stop falling, and they don't stop falling.
I was gonna ask, how do they wrap that kind of stuff up at that point?
Well, Super Smartphone's going to continue in a graphic novel, apparently.
Okay, that's fair.
And Aliens Area, I don't know what they're going to do there.
Oh man, I can't believe it.
Be rough out in these streets.
But you know what's also available right now? The Sasuke side story.
The Sasuke and Sakura manga.
Yeah, I'm actually curious about that one.
I know there's that, and of course there's all the new shows that are out. Like, there's Chainsaw Man, there's Blue Lock is one that's been getting a lot of attention.
Yes.
Which is a very, I guess you could, it's a more interesting sports anime.
Mm-hmm.
It's very counter to what you would usually expect in a sports anime, where it's usually more team focused. This is more about, trying to be the best. Like, it's to make the best striker in all of soccer. It's like they want you to be egotistical. They want you to be an egoist because the best players are all egoists.
That's an interesting premise. I think I've seen like images of like the show.
Yes, and I mean, it's got a point. I'm not saying, of course, being egotistical is wrong, obviously, but to a degree, they're not wrong in the sense of it helps to believe your own hype.
I think it just creates for like interesting character dynamics in a show.
It's like, because if you believe your own hype, you're gonna hype yourself up. Like, believing you can do it, and like believing you are the best in a sense can push you a certain length.
It's like everyone's like Naruto as far as like they got a lot of bravado behind them, and the trauma's pending.
Like, I've watched the first 2 episodes of Blue Lock.
Hmm.
They're pretty good.
Okay. Cool.
And it's already got a spin-off manga.
It's already got a spin-off. Crazy.
Yeah, I've also been reading the spin-off manga for Tokyo Revengers.
What's that about?
It's about Baji and Chifuyu. Two characters that are. It's about 2 other characters and like what was happening earlier in the story with them before the main story.
Oh, okay.
And Tokyo Revengers actually should be ending within the next 5 chapters.
Oh man. Okay.
Like it was literally the first time I've ever seen a Tokyo Revengers manga in Barnes and Noble or Books a Million was just last week. Like just a few days ago, I had seen them. I was like, oh shit, they're actually.
That's really cool. I guess as well as like other updates, like anime wise, obviously Spy X Family is still going pretty strong.
Still fantastic. We stand Bond.
I will say I want to throw in like my 2 cents about the Devil's a Part-Timer. They had a 2nd season, right? And they just, it looks like they wrapped up on their 12 episode 2nd season. It's okay. I think it's what made like season 1 brilliant was the fact that it really was kind of focusing on the dynamic of like the demon lord and the hero trying to like integrate into society and having to have those like comedic like struggles with it. And then season 2 is just like, all right, we now have that. Let's add a little bit of like lore of like the world's emerging and start to get a little bit more complicated about that. There might be some mythologies like added in there. Actually, there is mythology added into that. But yeah, no, it I feel like it kind of lacks like that bit of comedy, and now focuses on like lore based stuff. Like there's a brand new character introduced who's like actually just a little child slash toddler who then just proclaims like the father and mother of, you know, our main dude and the main heroine, who are at ends with each other. So, you know, haha, comedy ensues from there. But it's an interesting approach. But I think overall, I just think it's okay.
It's alright.
It's alright. There was a bunch of other shows I probably should check out as well, like Blue Lock. But no, that's kind of it so far on just like what I've been seeing so far. But yeah, no.
So the art on Blue Lock is intense. Like you'd think for a sports manga, it's not going to go that hard, right? With some of these, these faces and everything, right? Oh dear God, it goes hard.
Like I'm pretty sure, like it's intense for them, but just like sports anime in general, just they have a look. They like have those serious looks, and you're like, oh, okay. Also, if there's
a lot of that in Blue Lock. Where you see those faces, you're like, Jesus Christ.
Also, if I recall, yeah, what was Pop Team Epic actually has like a 2nd season, right?
Ah, yes, the Japanese robot chicken.
Yeah, that's great.
That's honestly what it is. Like me and my friends were talking, and we were like, honestly, what Pop Team Epic reminds us of is if Japan did their own version of Robot Chicken.
What's interesting is that like for like a couple of short bits here and there, they were able to put out like 23-minute episodes each time, or at least according to like the timer. There's also opening endings to be considered, but other than that, second season is also carrying the 23-minute like thing, so they're not stopping. But yeah, alrighty. I think, yeah, I guess that's pretty much everything. Mark, any last couple things before we sign off?
Nothing at the moment.
Alrighty then. So for now, we'll just go ahead and call it here. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of DangIT Podcast. This has been episode 432. My name is Justin.
Mark.
And thanks for watching, everybody. #bye.